Okay, welcome to the first lecture of the course Introduction to Programming, the first actual real lecture. Now we'll play a bit with Visual Studio and we'll write our first programs in C#. And we have to learn what is programming, what is Visual Studio, what is the development environment, what is the many things. And let's start. We'll talk about what computer programming is, what is the process of running some commands in the computer and to achieve some result. We'll play a bit with C#, we'll explain the C# syntax, how to work with, how to write simple programs, how to work with the console, how to create a simple class, how to write the main method, etc., etc., etc. Later we'll explain a bit what is the C# language, which are its strong sides, things like what is .NET Framework, what is COR, how .NET Framework works. We'll play a bit with console-based compilation, and we'll play a lot with Visual Studio. We'll learn how to compile programs and what does it mean to compile a program, how to run a program in C#, how to debug a program, how to work with breakpoints, with other techniques, how to search in the documentation, how to work with MSDN library, etc., etc., etc. So this is our first look into programming, and some of you maybe already have some touch with development environments. Maybe some of you already have Visual Studio. The others should download and install some version of Visual Studio, preferably 2014. And you have a lot of homework exercises to play with it, to install it at home, and please ask if you have some problems with this. So let's start with the definition of computer programming. What is computer programming? Google says it's the process of creating a sequence of instructions to enable the computer to do something. This means that you write a sequence of commands and instruct or tell the computer to do some work. For example, tell the computer, please open Microsoft Word. Please open this file. Please save it somewhere. Or please send email. The computers are machines that can process commands. This is very simplified explanation how computer works, but generally computer programming is writing source code, writing computer programs. Computer programs are sets of instructions that tell what the computer should do. It could be just first step, do this, second step, do something else, third step, do something another, but it can be a little bit more complicated. For example, until I return, please record all my screen as a video. Or until I tell you to stop, please do wait for comments at the command line. Or if I press a key, please print the key I pressed. If I press H, print H. All of these are concepts of creating programs. We can use primitives like repetition, loops, or control flow logic. Things like if the key I pressed is escape, terminate the program. Otherwise, print the key. This is a simple algorithm. So computer programming is about algorithms. Algorithms are sequences of steps that produce some result, taking as an input some input data. So it's related with software development. Computer programming and software development are related. Related because software development includes programming. It's It's maybe the most important piece of software development, but not only. Programming and software development is larger. It's related to some process of preparing and building computer software and supporting the software over the time. So if you want to create a software, you need first to define a task or problem. Or if you need to program, you need to define what task you will solve. So for example, I want to make a program that enters my birth date and calculate how many days I have lived during my life, for example, by birth date. This is not very easy to calculate by hand, but computers are good, and you have this exercise as part of your homework. So first we need to define a task or problem. You want to define what we want to achieve as a final result. If we create a big software solution, this is called creating a software requirement specification. It's some kind of document or other piece of text which describes what our program, our software wants to do. You need to plan your solution. For example, if I need to write a game for a mobile phone, I need to decide to write it in Flash, to write it as a native application, or to write it in HTML5 and run it in a sandbox. And so choosing technologies is one piece of this architecture and design. Another piece is to choose your data structures and algorithms. Another piece is to choose your frameworks, to find suitable libraries, platforms, and other APIs ready out of the box components to achieve our work. For example, if we want to open a PDF document in a mobile phone, we need to find some technology to do this, because most mobile phones do not natively support PDFs, including in C#. If you want to write a C# program that shows on the screen a PDF, the content of a PDF document, you need either use Acrobat Reader or some open source library or some C# library or some even JavaScript library to show the PDF. If you write a simple program, for example, you have a set of products purchased and the quantity of each product and the price of each product, and you want to calculate the bill, how does it cost to take 2 kilograms tomatoes and 4 kilograms cucumbers, for example, you need to plan your solution, to invite an algorithm, for example, pass through all the products, for each product multiply the product price by the product quantity, and sum the total cost to get the final result. The most interesting for our course piece of the software development process is writing the code. Writing the code is also called implementation. Implementation is when you start your development environment and you write some code, write some classes, write some lines of code, write some commands, some methods, functions, etc., etc., etc. And this is the main focus of our first few months in the software university, to learn how to write code, how to write it well, how to write it efficiently, how to write it in high quality, to use things like procedural programming, approaches like object-oriented programming, etc., etc., etc. So writing the code is not just writing the code. It's not correct. It's not correct to say writing code, because you write the code, you then change it, you then put more code, then you erase some pieces of the code which was not correct. It's iterative process, And you step by step add something, delete something, you test the code, you run your program, you check the results. If the results are incorrect, you change something, you run again, etc., etc. So it's iterative process, and it's not a single act like sending email. Write the email, press the send button, and it's completed. You cannot return it back. It's finished. The software, it's never finished. It's something that you do for a while. You write some code, you later find some bugs, you fix the bugs, you release a new version, then your customer said, I need this feature, please add it. You add a new feature, and this runs over and over the time. This is the final of my topics here, to how to fix and improve the software over the time. This is called maintenance. Maintenance. So before the maintenance, usually we implement our solution and we enter in some bug fixing stage where we test our code and we find some problems in it. Usually this is done by the QA engineers, the people who, whose job is to find bugs in your software. They are called software quality assurance engineers, QAs in short. QAs people are usually testing your code by automated tools or by hand, and when they find a bug, something that is not intended to work like your implementation does, they report this bug in some bug tracking system, and this bug enters into an open state. Later the software developers see this bug and process it, fix it, and move it to another state, for example, fixed. The QA again tests the fixed code, and if they find the bug is not happening again, they close the bug. This is in very short steps what happens in the normal software development. In the software university, we'll have a large course on software engineering, and we'll take into deep details the study of this typical process. We'll learn that this process is not linear, it's iterative. So not always you first plan solution, later implement the code. You can start from pieces of code, later improve your architecture. You can use continuous integration, you can use continuous deployment, continuous delivery, you can use some methodologies like Scrum, Kanban, and other agile practices. But always, when you create a software or you write a program, you pass through these steps. The next step is to install, configure, and run the software. Okay, when you write a Visual Studio program, you don't need this, but if you write a mobile application, you need to deploy it in the App Store. So your customers to take it, to download it from the App Store. If you write a banking software, you need to go in the bank to enter in their data center, to put the software there, or put it remotely through your some network credentials. And finally, you need to educate the people to use this software, to train them, to give them some instructions, to configure this software to work in this environment. And over the time, you need to do maintenance. Because software without maintenance usually doesn't work well. I don't talk about software which is massive, like Microsoft Word, etc. It still has maintenance, but you don't need personal attention. But if you write a software for a bank and you leave it, once the government changes the law, this software will not be usable longer, will no longer be usable. So maintenance is something important. This slide shows how programming relates to software engineering and software development, and that pieces of all these typical steps are involved. Because if you write a small program that enters 10 numbers and calculates its sum, you have a task, a problem to calculate the sum of numbers. You plan your solution. You say, okay, I will use an array, and the loop, I will enter the number of numbers. Later, I will run a loop from 1 to 10. We'll read this, the input, and we'll calculate in some temporary variable the sum. And finally, I will write, this is our algorithm. For simple problems, it's simple. For complex problems, it could be very complex. And when we run the program, we can test it. For example, we can find that with the numbers from 1 to 10, it works correctly. But we try 100 millions 10 times, and we can get into an overflow problem, because the integer numbers are limited in their capacity to store big values. So we can find a bug, then change from int to big int or some wider type, etc., etc., etc. So I entered into two technical things, but these are the general phases of software development. Okay, after this stupid theory, let's enter inside the C# world. And the best way to do this is to start Visual Studio. I have Visual Studio here, and I use the Ultimate 2013 version with Service Pack 1, which is currently the latest possible. How we start? We choose File, New, Project. File, New Project. I'll zoom a bit and take the blue marker, File, New Project, and you choose from C# language, Windows, Console application. There are lots of types of applications. You can create mobile phone application, you can create a web application, or console application. Why we use console application? Because it's the simplest possible. You do not need to know how web browser works, how HTML works, etc. If you write a web application, you will need many things before that. If you write console application, it's very simple. You just read some things from the console, and you just write some things. Okay, first, what is this console? It is the so-called command prompt. This window, the black window, this is the console. You can write some things, and it says, wow, I cannot understand what you mean. And I can say, dir. He says, oh, I know dir. So the command prompt is a command interpreter running inside the console. The console is this window that is capable to print text and to handle the input from the keyboard and to take this input and to pass it to your program. Currently, I run a program called cmd.exe. Easier to understand. This is the command prompt. Microsoft Windows command prompt. There are other console shells. For example, PowerShell. This is the Boo console. Do you know the Boo console? Probably not. This is for system administrators, people who break the machine hardly. Start a console application. You choose a folder where to write it. Because I write bullshits, I will put this in the trash. But this is not a trash, a system trash. This is my folder called trash. Console application, C# app, for example. It's recommended to give user-friendly name, not console application 1, 2, 3, 55, etc. Because once some hours have passed, you will forget what you have in console application 30. It's better to have it named better. For example, if the application will print What the time is it? Please name it. Current time. Time, for example. So, we have a name. We shall play with C#. There is no certain idea what we shall do. We will just play. We try some things, etc. Okay, we click OK, and it creates a program. This is called a C# program, this code. And this is called a source code. Source code or programming code or just code. They are too much complex things, but the place, I will explain them a little bit later. The place where you can write your code is here. There is a namespace. Inside it there is a class. In the class there is a method called main. And inside the method, we can go here with the mouse and click enter. Now we can write our code. This here is my code. And if I want to print something on the console, I need to write console dot print. No print. Right. Wow, I have right. It says what I have. See, this is called autocomplete. So I will use the right one, the method right one, and will print something. For example, hello from Bulgaria. Hi India. Hi. We are here in Sofia. It's far from Bangalore. What we have done? We created a C# program. We compiled the program. How? F6. Or build solution C, F6. When we build, it says build successfully or succeeded. If I write something incorrect and I click F6, it will say, I cannot understand you. I don't speak cosa da fastole. I want console. Okay, now F6, build succeeded. And how I run that program? Control plus F5. Control F5. And it says, hello from Bulgaria. Press any key to continue. Okay, let's go further. Can I put more than one command? This is called a command. And I instruct my computer to print something on this black screen called console. You can change its color. Okay, as I can say console dot write one again. 5 plus 3. Can you understand me? Control F5. 8. Wow, intelligent system. It can understand 5 plus 3. Can it understand something more complex? 5 plus 3 multiplied by 7. Control F5. Wow, seems to work correctly. What else we can do? We can press C and it says, wow, how many things I can write here. Oh, too much. It's complex. Const. I don't know what is const. Console. Console. And it says, autocomplete says, you mean console? Yes, I mean console. Enter. Plus. Point. There is no plus in English. Plus is when you put it down. Very fast. Console dot. Let's play. What is this title? Wow, can I play with the title of the console? Dot title. Bracket. No. Dot title. What is title? I want to change the title. How to change the title? Title equals hello. Wow, it's compiled. F6. Build succeeded. Error list empty. Great. Control F5. Hello! We have hello. We changed the title. Very nice. What else we can do? First, console write line is something we use every day when we write console applications. We can write it faster. C W, C W, okay? Tap tap. Wow, magic. Magic. I like magic. And I print magic. What else I can print? I can remove this and play a bit. What happens when I put something ugly? Doesn't work. Okay, let's try it. Console write line empty. Seems like something empty was printed. Can I repeat it? I press Home 2 times, Shift and the down arrow, Control X, Control V, copy paste, but made with the keyboard. It's recommended to use the keyboard instead of the mouse because the mouse is slow first. And when you use the mouse, you can do some ugly thing like this. If you copy this and you get here and click paste, I have paste. See what happens? Shits. I don't mean this. Control Z, do you know? Control Z, undo. Do, undo. Do in the forward direction. Do it back, undo in the back direction. If I press paste here, works correctly. But it's faster to do things like this. Control on my laptop doesn't work well. That's the problem. And what I have are lots of empty lines. Let's play a bit more. What happens if I write console with a small letter? F6. It says, I cannot find console. It doesn't exist. Why? Because the C# language is case sensitive. If you don't use the correct case character casing, if you use small letter instead of big letter, or the opposite, it doesn't work. It's broken. What else you can break? Ctrl Z, F6, now it works. You can forget to put this column, semicolon, okay? F6, and it says, semicolon expected, please put it. Great, I will put it. And it says where is the location, here, or at there, at least you can double click, and it will move you at the place where the problem is located, okay? I will get rid out of this and will say, hello, salam alaikum. Yeah, salam alaikum doesn't work. Can we check? Salam alaikum. I cannot write it because, and that's why I used Wikipedia to take salam alaikum and try it. Because it's very strange. See my cursor. Try. It's normal for the Arabic world, but salam alaikum will not work because the console is not Unicode friendly. You cannot fix this. Microsoft someday will fix it. It's a problem in the... if you are not in console applications, it will work. If you want to use Cyrillic letters, you need to change your code page. For example, regional settings, region, and here the system locale, I have chosen Bulgaria. This says, please, for letters in the console, use Latin alphabet and in the same time Cyrillic alphabet. The code page Windows the 1251 Cyrillic Windows. That's why things like Zdrasty will work on my laptop and probably will not work on your laptop. because most people don't know this option, this check. And let's see what happens behind the scenes. I have a program. Where is it located? First, let's explain a bit more about Visual Studio. Visual Studio is a software for building other software. It's a ID, integrated development environment. It's not just programming, but development, because development involves other actions, not just programming. For example, writing code, compiling, debugging, erasing, running tests, checking the results, logging, and many others, like deployment. So, there is a file. This is the text editor. You can make it larger. Here is our project. In Visual Studio, we have solution. Solution is a set of projects. We have one project in our solution containing many files. Each file contains one or more classes located into namespaces, etc. Control plus the wheel of the mouse make this thing. The same like in Microsoft Word and all modern text editors. So we have solution with one or more applications. In the application we have files. In each file we can have namespace, in it class, inside method. In the method we have comments. Why do we need so complex structure? Because C# is designed for large projects. Large projects like 2 million lines of code. The source code could be a few hundred megabytes. It's a large project. For these projects, we don't need this. And people say, why we don't do just this? If this were JavaScript, it would run. But in C# it says, it says bullshits. In fact, a namespace cannot, it thinks this is a namespace because in the file you have namespace, in it you have class, etc., etc. So, can we get rid of these bullshits here? In fact, you can, but only a part of them. You can remove the namespace. It starts here and it ends here. And now I can say Ctrl A, select all, and Shift Tab, move left. Tap, 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 moves right. Shift Tab, tap, 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 moves left. Okay? F6, Ctrl F5. Wow, it works. Здравствуйте. It's broken. Okay, I can remove these empty lines with selecting them and pressing backspace. And what else I can remove? I can remove this one. These are the arguments from the command line for my application, which you most probably will not use the next 20 years. I'm not sure, but most developers in the modern world don't use this. It may happen to use it someday. You can delete this, Ctrl F5, wow, it still works. And we can delete all of these tags. Why not we don't delete the first thing? Because it says using system. What are these using? Using means please include this library. Wow, what is a library? A library is some programming logics which is already written by someone else and provided to your program ready to use. For example, if you want to open a PDF file, you will include using PDF viewer dot something, and you will have a class which is able to open a PDF. If you want to play an MP3 sound, you will need to include some other library. And currently, we use the system library. See what happens when we delete this. F6. Wow, console. I don't know what is console. because console is system.console. Sorry for the Cyrillic letters. System.console. Now it will work. Ctrl F5, it works. System.console is the full name of this class. What is class? A class is a piece of functionality, a set of methods, a set of commands located in with some prefix. So console, if you say using system, you don't need to put this here system. With system.console, it still works. Because system.console is the full name of the class. But when you using system, you can use the short name. Similar thing, for example, using system.collections.generic. And now I can use list. List, wow, it's too complex. But this list is in fact system.collections.generic.list from T. This is how using works, okay? Let's play a little bit more. What happens if we have a class with comments? It's not allowed, apparently. What we have if we put some other name here? Nakov. It says, I need a static method main. We don't have static main method, so just remember, you need static void main. If you can't remember it, just create a new project in Visual Studio and Visual Studio will create it for you. So, assume this is some magic. Someday we will learn what means statics, what does void means, why this is called main, why we need these brackets, because without them it doesn't work, etc, etc, etc. But step by step. Some things to fundamental things. When we create a class, we need a start of the class and end of the class. It's normal. For example, when you drive your car and when you enter in the highway, you have a start for the highway. It's designated on the right of the street that you enter the highway, okay? It's a sign, yeah, there is a traffic sign. And when you enter out of the highway, you have a traffic sign which says you get out of the highway. The same is here. So it's a logical. People who don't have a good logical thinking will say, why I open something and I close it something, and why this is under this. People who have good logical thinking will not ask why. It will be natural for them. Because if you open something, you need to close something. If you open here and put something here, you need to close it. If something is inside something bigger, this is something like box, inside it another box, inside it another box, then the second box is moved on the right. See, this program is not like this, and it's not like this. This is the same program, and it still works. Ctrl F5, it still works, and produces the same result. But this is ugly. Never do this. Don't try this at home, like people say. Why? Because this is unreadable code. This code does not show its logical structure. Even Visual Studio knows it's incorrect code. If you say cut, and if you say paste, it will format your code correctly. This is called code formatting. Formatting means to format your code in a way which makes it more readable. So in programming, we use white space. This is called white space to make the code readable. And the concept is very simple. If you have a sequence of comments, comments are put one under another. See, if I have another comment here and another comment here, say CW tap is the shortcut for console write line. For example, the letter A. This is correctly formatted code because this is the first, this is the second, this is the third, and all these things are inside this. If I have several methods, I will format them this way. Another method. Okay? And because this code is inside this method, it's moved as a block on the right with one tap. Tap, 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 shift tab, shift tab, shift tab. This is incorrectly formatted code because it doesn't review its logical structure. If I cut and paste it, it will be formatted for me with Visual Studio. Okay, what else to play with? To try Quas with big doesn't work, of course. Quas without a space works. Quas with several spaces works. Why? Because the white space is ignored. It's for just to make your program look pretty. Programs are for developers. Compiled codes is for machines. The code you write is for people. People should read it. That's why you need to have good names. It's not just program, because program is not informative message. You can name it better. For example, this is a program that prints a few lines on the console. Play with the console. Maybe here I use here the Pascal case naming. Some people name the code that way. You cannot put spaces because this is one piece of code, this is another. The space is special separator. You can put underscore, but this is not okay in C#. In C# we use Pascal case. Pascal case means that the first letter is big, the others are small, and the next word starts with big letter. Just like this. Play with the console. Okay, it's readable, like a sentence, right? A sentence without spaces. This is called Pascal case. This is called camel case. The first Java and JavaScript use camel case. We have underscore case. Play with the console. C++ use this notation. This is called code style. The style of code formatting. But it's not so important. Usually, when we have class name played with the console, it's normal to have it here the same name here. Okay? So we can put F2, rename, Ctrl V, and rename it with this name. Also, it has some configuration which is not required. We can delete it, and now we have one project with one file in it, and it's named correctly because I want to play with the console, and this is my class. It doesn't have a needed code like using libraries that I don't use, etc. So let's play really with the console. That's my purpose of this software that I write. Console dot. Wow, what else I have here? Let's start from the beginning. Background color. Wow. Background color dot. No, let's change it. How to change it? I say EQ, please assign the value for the background color with this 5. Doesn't work. Sucks. Control space is great thing in Visual Studio. It enables the autocomplete action. And it says, do you mean console color? Yes. Dot. Control space. Wow. Dark blue. Or cyan. Or yellow. Sounds good. Control F5. Ha-ha! Something changed. We can make a nice console-based game with different colors of animals on it, created of asterisks, brackets, and other characters. Let's play a little bit more. What else this console can do? Console. Dot. Let's start from the beginning. Beep. Wow, beep. Beep. Frequency duration. Wow, plays a sound. Wow, great. Let's play. Beep. I don't know what is this. Crash. Argument out of range. Console beep frequency should be between 37 and drum, drum, drum. Okay. 100. Nothing happened. That's why I redirected my HDMI, the sound through the HDMI port. Probably it's not. Do you hear something?
Yes.
Okay, let's try beep without parameters. Let's do this several times. Doesn't work. I think there are better ways to play with sounds. What else we can do with the console? We can press F1. Wow, please help me! I don't know what is this. It's console class. It has background color. What does it do? Wow, great. Let's copy this example. I don't know what is this, but seems interesting, right? Play. Control F5. Wow! Shit happens. It's better than shit. Let me read this code. I need to make it smaller. Write character strings 120. I don't know what is this. Aha, seems like they code this thing for whoop. They change the console color. Oh, it's not for beginners. Let's play in our way. I want just to show you that if you don't know what is using, you can press F1. Please help me, I don't know what is using. Using keyword is two purposes. Directive, see, using object, using directive. Using system, using project, and etc. etc. What is the English for drum?
Blah, blah.
Blah blah. Ah, drum is blah blah. Okay, I will use drum. It sounds better. Blah blah blah. Let's continue. I don't know what is static. F1. You catch the idea. If you have internet, it will work. Salam alaikum. What else? What else I need to show you? Let's pass through the presentation, because there are lots of things I maybe forgot. How a C# programs look like. It has using system. It's recommended to start with this. It just uses the system library, because console and other classes are inside. For example, the string class, which is used to hold string text, to work with text. Later, I define a class. Include the namespace system or library. There is a difference, but assume it's something similar. Define a class. Class space the name of the class. Bracket, curly bracket, opens and closes. Define a main method, static void main, and some comments you need. Let's try this. No, can we program without Visual Studio? We don't have file new console projects, right? But we can write it using system. Class example. I put this bracket and see something very, very, very important. You put the bracket, you press enter, you put the closing bracket, you press up and press enter and press down. This is the only correct way to write code. When you press an opening bracket, you should close it immediately to ensure it will be closed correctly. Because otherwise, if I have 37 brackets one inside another, finally I will not be able to close them correctly. So the only correct way to write this code is just open the bracket, not write code and then close it. This is incorrect. The correct way is to open bracket, write some, close it, get at the upper row, one, and press enter, and try the code later. I don't know any developer who works differently. If someone works differently, he's not a good developer. I know thousands of developers. Everyone opens and closes the brackets immediately. Okay, let's return here. Static void main. Shit happens. Console, right one. Shit happens is correct in English, right? Okay. I always press. See what happens. Brackets, semicolon. I return back and fill the text inside. Quotes, return back, and I print something. The idea is to close something immediately after open it and return back and to write your code inside. Okay, that's my program. I want to save it. I click save or this button, and I will save it, for example, now swap top, drive C, new folder, example, C#. Remember, okay, example, C#. Okay, and I write this hello.cs with Notepad. Now I run Windows Explorer, see example C# and I see hello CS. If you repeat this in your laptop, it will not run. Why? Because Windows comes incorrectly installed when you install it. It comes broken out of the box. To correct your Windows, you need to come at here, View, Options at your Windows Explorer, and remove this option. This option should be removed because it says I'm a stupid person, I don't know what is C#, what is exe, what is doc, what is PDF. I want to be a granny, some stupid user, and I don't want to use my computer normally. So what happens if you switch this? It's hidden. If you have a text file, see what happens. This is a text file, but it looks like hello.cs. If you have some program, for example, C, Windows, Notepad, C, this is Notepad. Is this a text file or is a program? This is a program, which is the Notepad. This is a text file which contains this information, and it's .ini, and this ini extension is hidden, which is very good. You cannot program normally if you don't switch this off. By out of the box, Windows hides this. So to fix your Windows, you should come here, folder options, view, and switch this off. Okay. When you do this, you will see the full information about your files on your hard disk. See, explorer.exe. Exe means this is a program. TXT means this is a text file. Dot means this is a Word document. You have a question?
Yep. How to change it on Windows 7?
On Windows 7, you have File menu, Options somewhere, just find it.
Folder options.
Folder options. Okay, so now we have a text file which previously was displayed like a CS. Okay, you need to have it hello.cs. This is called a source code. This is a program, but outside of Visual Studio. I need to take to just please, to make your computer usable, please install Notepad++. Because the government-driven, the original Notepad, in Bulgarian we say Državnia Notepad, which is very bad idea, doesn't work well. Not+++ is easily to install. Now, how to compile this? This is a source code. First, what means to compile? To compile means to transform the program from source code to a normal executable file, exe. Exe comes from executable program that can be executed. Okay? I press Shift, right button. In Windows 7 this doesn't work. And say open command window here. And this is my console. I can say here, and it says you have this file. And I can say CSC. What is this? C# compiler. In your computer, CSC will not work. To make it working, you should do the following. First, find where CSC exe lives. It's C, Windows, Microsoft.NET, Framework 64, or without 64 if you are on 32-bit operating system version. And now we have csc.exe. See, this is the compiler. What is a compiler? A compiler is a program that is used to compile your programs into executable form. This is a software which transforms source code to programs, to executable files. Files like notepad.exe are compiled programs. They are programs which already have written by someone else and have installed in your hard disk. If you install Windows, you will have notepad.exe. It's part of Windows. It's always there. If you install MS Word, you will have the file winword.exe. Okay. If you want to use this CSC exe from the console, from this cmd command prompt, like dir, this is not correct, but CSC, you need to find where is it located, to copy this thing, to come to my computer properties, or if it's not, if this icon is missing, you can run Explorer and say my computer properties. Okay, this is the same my properties, advanced system settings, environment variables, and here you find home. I write home, edit, not home, sorry, path, edit, go at the end, put semicolon, Ctrl V, and add this path to the system variable called path. Seems a little bit complicated, and the good news is that if you don't know this, you can still pass the C# exam with good score. This is additional knowledge. But if you want to become a good developer, you need to know how things work internally, right? That's why I show you so much additional information, which are not even on my slides. Okay, I put this here. And now, when I run the command prompt, I have CSC. I already had it, but at your laptop, probably you need to pass to this time. Okay, and now return back. I have a folder holding one C# source code file. I want to compile it to create exec, executable file. Okay? And if I press Shift, open command window here, I just open command window and I'm located currently in this directory, in this folder. If I press dir, I will find hello C#. Dir is something like show me this window in the console, right? Okay, and I say CSC hello, but I'm lazy and I don't want to write hello C#. I can something like control space in C#. Here I write tab. Hello CS, and it's auto-completed. And the C# compiler says, wow, no errors. He says nothing, in fact, which means I'm ready. I've compiled your code. And now I have hello.exe. If I send you this file in some way, sorry, I can't send it but by email because you cannot attach executable files to emails. Gmail will say this is a virus and will stop it. But if I send this file somewhere, for example, like a USB flash drive, copy this on your computer, on any computer of yours, it will run. If I run it, hello.exe, tap, it will say hello. If I run it again, it will say hello. If I double click on it, it will say hello, but it stops and we can see the result, right? It says hello and finished, and the window is not closed. So, what was this? This is a source code. Through a compiler, CSC, I compile it and I get the compiled exec. This is the compiled code. Let's see what's inside, huh? Right? Right click, open in Notepad. Wow! Lots of unreadable things. Some readable, some unreadable. We can switch the hex mode. This is additional plugin in Notepad, you should install it. Unreadable code. This is the machine code. This is machine-ready code. This is something that .NET Framework can read. It additionally transforms it to the microprocessor code and put it on your microprocessor. Do you know the microprocessor, the CPU? CPU, this thing that has megahertz. Okay, let's look inside with another tool called Just the Compile. You can download it, Just the Compile. It's the opposite of the compiler. Compiler transforms source code to programs. And the compilers, when they run correctly, do the opposite. Transforms exec to source code. Wow, what's inside? Hello.exe, resources empty. Default namespace, wow, example. Huh, Visual Basic. What is this? This is because I just set the compiler, please use Visual Basic. In fact, this is the code. Do you know what is this? This is called assembler code. Assembler is low-level programming language. We have compilers, so we don't need to write in assembler. But the first compiler was written in assembler because there was no other compiler to use it, right? Now we have compilers, and we can use higher level languages like C#, PHP, Java, C++, and we don't need to use. This is, please vote this string hello, please call this method, please return, etc. It's very simple, but this is the IL, intermediate language. This is the Microsoft's .NET Framework assembler. This code is further transformed to Pentium instructions. Okay, let's decompile it to C#. Do you notice? Similar to the code we wrote, right? That was what I wanted to show you. And please don't try to decompile notepad.exe. It will not happen because notepad.exe is not .NET Framework program. It's written in C++ and it's in native assembler. It cannot be decompiled. Only .NET programs and Java programs and higher level programs can be decompiled. Programs that run inside a virtual machine. Okay, let's get back to the slides because I explained too much additional information and I will not have enough time to cover it. So I already explained about the code formatting. Code formatting says that if something is inside something another, you should have opening and closing curly bracket, and this should be moved on the right. Not with a single space or two spaces, but with one tab, the tab key. Okay? Please use Pascal case. The first big letter capital, the second smaller, and the next word in capital. This bracket stays on the next slide. Why I say this? Because if you use other language like Java and JavaScript, they will say, please move this here. This is just a different style of formatting. And it's a big dispute between Java and C# developers, which is correct. The correct is this, which is recommended by your language vendors. Oracle says, in Java, please put the curly bracket on the same line. Microsoft says, in C#, please put it on the new line. In JavaScript, both notations are used. Mostly the current line notation. Okay? When you have something inside something else, block inside the block, put the block on the right. When the block finished, put back on the left and continue. When you have a sequence of blocks, put it one under another, and brackets should always be staying one under another. Let me tell you what I mean. This code is completely unreadable. This is brain fuck. There is such language. It's even more ugly because it uses only underscore and similar letters. But this is unreadable. This code is correct and it works. The compiler understands it and can compile it. But it's unreadable. That's why you need to format the code. And in our courses, we don't just teach you how to program. We teach you how to program correctly. We teach you in best practices. We teach you how to do it well. Code formatting is the first piece of information in this direction. What is C#? We already discussed this. This is a modern programming language created by Microsoft, very powerful, easy to learn, easy to understand, easy to read. There are many other languages. Some of them are similar to C#. For example, the for loop, the syntax for loop is the same in C, C++, Java, JavaScript, PHP, and C#. For loops, if you learn how to write for loops in C#, you have this knowledge already for all the other languages. Very few languages use different syntax in for loops. For example, Visual Basic. Visual Basic is a little bit cheaty. C# is object-oriented. That's why we need to put our code in a class. Object-oriented says that your program consists of classes. These classes can inherit from each other. This is more complex concept. We will not discuss it now. And objects have methods, properties, and other things inside, and can be used statically or by instance, but this is too complex. We'll have special course called Object-Oriented Programming, and we'll learn OOP, Object-Oriented Programming, in deep details. C# combines procedural programming with object-oriented programming with functional programming. These are the three main paradigms of computer programming today. Functional languages like Haskell, F#, Lisp, and others are integrated into C# due to its lambda expressions. C# is statically typed language, which means that it uses types. There are dynamically typed languages like JavaScript or scripting languages which don't have types. We'll learn later what are the differences, but you will learn by example. This is a fundamental difference. That's why C# and Java are very similar, because both are statically typed languages, and Java and JavaScript and PHP are very similar, but JavaScript and C# are not very similar. Once you learn C# and JavaScript, most other languages will be similar to one of them, or to both of them. So what you need to program, return back to the introduction of software engineering. You need to have a programming languages, for example, C# or Java or PHP or other languages. You need a problem to solve, okay? You need development environment. It's not obligatory, but it's good to have it. You saw how I program in Notepad++ and how I program in Visual Studio. In Visual Studio it's more pleasant. Compiler, this CSC, when you click F6 in Visual Studio, it invokes csc.exe, compiles the program, and if CSC says there are problems, Visual Studio displays them in the error list. And SDK, what is SDK? Software Development Kit. This is the tool set, the set of tools you need when you develop for some specific platform. For example, if you want to develop Android applications, you need to use Android SDK. If you need to develop Windows applications, you need .NET Framework SDK. This is the .NET Framework, the CLR, the virtual machine which executes the codes, the compiler, CSC.exe, VBC, Visual Basic Compiler, and the others. The SDK is the set of tools that you need if you want to program. If you want to program for Linux, you will use different SDK. If you want to program for iPhone, you will need iOS SDK. Your development environment will be Xcode, not Visual Studio, and you will not use .NET Framework, you will use some other framework, some other SDK, some other platform. So to program we need a platform, SDK, compilers. Sometimes we don't need compilers if we use dynamic languages like Python. Python uses interpreters instead of compilers. It just executes the code without compiling it. But this is, I don't have time to explain it better, but JavaScript is interpreted scripting languages. C# is statically typed normal language to say, and it's compiled. And generally compiled languages run faster. Like C++ is the fastest language, maybe one of the fastest in the world. while Python is one of the slowest, and Ruby, because they are interpreted languages. PHP is also slow because it's interpreted. Currently, Facebook are trying to make a compiler for PHP because they have a lot of problems with their Facebook. It uses too much PHP and consumes too much computer power inefficiently. So when we program, we use a set of standard classes. Currently, we use .NET Framework class library. Using something, this comes from .NET Framework. See, what happens here is in Visual Studio. We use these system libraries, for example, system.core. Let's look inside. What's in system.core? See, these are namespaces. If we enter into system.io, or for example, system.security or system, we'll see some things. This is the API, the libraries that come from the SDK, standard libraries. If you use C++, you will use STL. If you use Java, you will use the Java class library. If you use iPhone, your language will be Objective-C, not C#. You will use iOS SDK, and you will have use the Cocoa libraries, for example, for building UI. So programming is related to language, platform, SDK, which contains compilers and other tools, and libraries which are part of the platform. If you, for example, create embedded software for cars, you use the Motorola SDK for Atmel processors or something like this, and you use C, some embedded C compiler. Your platform will be the hardware, some board, okay, and things are similar. We'll have many examples through our education in the software university, and we will use different platforms, different operating systems, and different languages, so you will be able to become a good, strong software engineer, good developer. Not only developer in JavaScript and HTML. These people are not developers, they are HTMLers. I already made you a demo, so I'll explain what is .NET Framework. .NET Framework, this is this software which runs C# programs. Very simplified explanation. It consists of CLR environment which runs exe files. If you copy my hello.exe from my machine and you run it in Windows 95, it will not run. Because Windows 95 doesn't have .NET Framework. It's additional installation. Like MS Word is additional installation to Windows, .NET Framework is additional installation to Windows, and in higher versions of Windows it's built in inside. If you install Windows 8, it will already have .NET Framework built in. Framework class library is a set of few hundred thousand classes. Many classes. For example, classes that allows you to connect to a SQL Server database. Classes that allows you to print something on the screen. Classes that allows you to play a video file, a movie. Classes that allows you to send an email. Many. There are, nobody knows how much they are. They are very big. Hundreds of developers, tens of years wrote these classes. And they are shipped with you. Like if you open, say, Windows, wow, how many files. Very big collection of things that you don't know all of them, what's their purpose. .NET Framework provides a programming model. This is a ready-to-use design for your programs. It's a programming approach, but it's complex to explain. So, .NET Framework supports several languages. like you saw in our decompiler, you can write in Visual Basic and in C++, and they are almost 100% equivalent. They are automatic transformers from C# to Visual Basic and backwards. They are just different syntax for the exactly same thing. There are many languages. For example, there is a Python for .NET, but not all languages run in .NET. For example, PHP has third-party implementation, which is not very stable and does not work well in .NET. There are lots of building blocks. I will be very fast here. Operating system is something that hosts the programs in your computer. For example, it can be Windows, Linux, or Android, or different. Android is kind of Linux, in fact. Mostly they are Windows and Linux, and some kind of Unixes. COR runs the .NET programs. DOR runs dynamic languages like Python. This is in the .NET framework. There are lots of libraries that support many things. For example, if you write .NET web applications, you use ASP.NET classes. These are, for example, 55 DLL files, which comprise the .NET ASP.NET framework for web applications. If you write desktop applications like MS Word, you will need WPF and XAML. XAML is a UI system for Windows, very, very powerful. Something like Flash, but better built. The bad news are that it's closed, it's Microsoft proprietary technologies, and it's not available in Linux environment. That's why it's not popular. You can write different types of applications using different libraries. You have, for example, data access functionality, and these are the hundreds of thousands classes that ship with .NET Framework. There are always different versions of .NET Framework. There is an open source version of .NET Framework that is called Mono. It runs in Linux environment. It can run also in Android and iOS. There is a private held company that provides .NET and C# programming for iOS. iOS C# if you write. You will see the Xamarin. These guys use the open source Mono compiler and provide tools to write in Visual Studio iOS applications. But this is not free, it's expensive. And .NET Framework combines many languages, but they are compiled into intermediate languages, into this assembler that I showed a few minutes ago. And finally you get exe. Exe is executed by all these things. The CLR I will not take into deep details because CLR is something like virtual machine. This is the program that executes exe programs. Very well explained. Like MS Word knows how to open Word files, CLR knows how to open exe files and run them. It's complicated, it's something like the JVM, Java Virtual Machine, maybe some of you know it. And the framework class library are a set of classes I already explained. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of classes for many things. From database to mobile applications. What's Visual Studio? Visual Studio is this guy. Visual Studio is something that you can write code, you can compile code, you can run code, but you can debug code. That's something I forgot to show you. To debug a code, first we'll write a for loop, something that we'll teach in the last lecture in this course, but this is something, a way to repeat something. For example, I want to repeat 10 times. So write one, hi, Control F5. Wow, hi. I can print hi plus I, which is 0, 1, 2 to 9, and it will say hi 1, hi 2, hi 9. right? See the logic, it's logical. And I want to run this step by step. I can do step-by-step execution through the debugger. I press F10 or debug, step over F10 and see what happens. Visual Studio waits a bit and say, I'm here, I'm just about to enter this code. The result is empty. Alt tab, F9, F10, sorry. And he says, I'm trying to enter in this loop. What do you think? F10, go ahead. F10, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm about to execute this yellow line. What do you think? Go ahead, F10. See what happens. High 0. The font is not changed, I will change the font. Gonzalez 24 is good enough. It's visible. F10, what happens? Increments the variable I. I is currently 1. It started from 0, now it's 1. F10, F10. Wow! See what happens. This is called the debugger. The debugger is step-by-step executor for programs. There is debugger for JavaScript, for C#, for everything. What else I can do? I can stop the program and I can set a breakpoint. Breakpoint means if you come to this line, please stop. Now I press F5. And it directly stops here, because if I have 10,000 lines of code, it will be hard to go step by step, F10, F10, F10. It's better to stop a certain piece of the code where I'm looking for bugs. The reason to use the debugger is to find bugs. How to find bugs? If you pass through the lines and see what happens, if there is a bug, at some step, something will get wrong, right? If you want to, for example, I want to print the numbers from 1 to 10. From 1 to 10. But this program is incorrect. It prints the number from 0 to 9. It's obvious that I need at 1, right? But I can use the debugger to find the problem. I see here, F5, I write the first value and it's incorrect. This means that this line behaves incorrectly, right? Before this one, everything was correct. After execution of this line, now not everything is correct. I have incorrect results. Where is the problem? At this line, obviously, or at some line that this line depends on. And now I see, I is 0, right? But I want to start from 1. But I started from 0. Aha! What I can do? Start from 1 and to 11. Let's check. Stop. Control F5. It's correct. That's how the debugger runs. We'll use debugger every lecture starting from today. Every time I will show you. During your exam, people who use the debugger well will have better results than the others, because it just simplifies your job. It's a very powerful tool. So, Visual Studio as an IDE, integrated development environment, allows you not only to compile and run programs, it allows you to step through the code and debug your problems with the debugger. Okay? You can browse the help, you can design user interface, I will show this in some other course, etc., etc., etc. It's a single tool for many languages. You can combine C# and Visual Basic and other code. You can combine different technologies like MVC, web forms, and others. There are different platforms based on .NET, but it's not universal. You cannot write PHP code here. There is additional plugin, but it's not universal. That's why we'll, through our education here in the Software University, we'll use Eclipse NetBeans, and Sublime Text and other editors and IDEs specialized for different technologies. If you write PHP code, maybe NetBeans works better than Visual Studio. If you write HTML code, maybe Sublime Text works better, etc., etc., etc. And the tools are kind of things that every developer have his own preferences. Some people are fans of Microsoft, use Visual Studio. Some people are open source fans, use Eclipse. This is how Visual Studio looks like. This is the dark theme. You can switch it. And compiling and running problems. I already explained how to remove the namespace, to remove the unused usings, how to change the program name, etc., etc., etc. The compile process with F6, I already explained. Running and debugging problems, I also explained and showed you this. Here only the colors are different, but you can change the colors with theme, environment, general, and you can run the dark theme. Wow, this is hacker friendly, right? On the hackers movies, the screen is always dark, and they write big comments and guess the correct password. For the first time they fail, and the second fail, and the third time they are always inside. This is the hacker's recipe. So I already performed a live demo, and finally I will show you how to work with several projects in Visual Studio. Assume we are about to work on our homework. We choose new project. And for example, at some place, first, how to name our solution. We need to use something which is not easily to find, so I use the search. Blank solution. Blank solution is a space for projects. Your homework will be to write several programs, which means several projects. So I recommend to use a blank solution called, for example, intro programming homework. Is this name good? Good enough. You can always find better name, but don't lose so much time to find better name. Use good enough name. That's the rule. Not problem 7. Problem 7 is never a good name, because after 1 month, if I ask you what is problem 7, you will say, what problem 7? If the problem is named calculate age by birth date, what does it contains? That's why I use meaningful names like this. Intro programming homework contains your homework on the topic intro programming. Whoops homework contains your homework on the topic whoops, right? It's meaningful name. It's called meaningful name. Okay, I create already exist. Oh shit, happens. I already created this demo. Intro programming homework solution. 2 is not okay, because why 2 and not 33? Okay, and now I have the first problem. Let's open the assignments. The first problem is to play with Visual Studio. We don't submit nothing because we just play, right? The second problem is blank solution. I already made it. Something similar here is with hyphens. Okay, it's still acceptable and good. Play with MSDN. Okay, I already played. What? Hello world. Write hello world, print hello C#. Okay, I say here, new, add new project here at the solution. Add new project and name it Windows Console Application, C# Windows Console Application, and name it hello world. For example, this is a program that says hello world. I say okay. I'll switch to the white theme because this doesn't work well with my machine. No. Team, general. White. White is better for my projector, right? Okay, I need to clean up a bit. This is some pieces of work that I always perform. Shift up, and I'm almost ready. Hello world, Control C, F2, Control V, Del. Wow, I'm ready. And I say hello world. It runs. I'm ready with the first problem. Okay, let's continue with the second. Add new project. The second problem is called print your name. How to name this? It's easy. Print your name. And without problem 5, print your name. Okay, I say okay, rename this. I should need it to print yes. Rename this class, remove the unneeded things here and here, and press Shift Tab, and I print my name. Wow, hello world! But I want to print my name. Hey! Okay, what happens? You have active projects. See, one of the project is both. This is the active project, this one. Hello world. Okay, I press here, right button, properties, and I say, please, make active the current selection. Okay? And now, when I'm here, this is active, see? When I'm here, this is active, see? Automatically, it switches the projects. When I press Ctrl F5, hello world. If I'm here, not, right? This is the best practice for your homeworks. If you don't follow this recipe, you'll have many troubles. Okay? Some people write the first program, then comment it, write the second problem. It's not a good practice. Make one solution with many things. If you want to have numbers, to know this is problem, hello world is problem 4. Rename it 4. This is 5. Rename it 5. But never name it problem 5. Because it doesn't say what it does. That's why people have names. Ivan, Peter, John, not 37859. What's this? Problem 5. It's unreadable. It's meaningless. So please name by semantic, not by number. That's the only correct way. I already explained. We teach you not only to work and to program, but to do it correctly. To do it correctly means to name your folders correctly. See my folders. I don't have new folder 27, right? On my desktop, I have something which in Bulgaria says that I have photos from somewhere. And this folder describes what I have inside. If I have inside the installer for Visual Studio, this means I'm stupid asshole. This says there are photos. This is part of the normal developer's culture, to name things correctly, everything. Not to put your foot inside your shoes and both of them inside your laptop. Separate things, name things correctly, and this applies for computer science as well. I already explained to you how to use blank solutions, with demos, so I'll skip this. And MSDN library, this is the help. When you press F1, you'll go to MSDN library. But it's better to use Google. For example, I have to calculate what is my current date. I want to print the current date. What date is today, now? What I print? C# date, for example. Wow. No. Second attempt. Current date. Get current date only in C#. Wow. Date time to do console write line something. Shall this do the job? No. Date time. Maybe this comes with the previous one. Maybe. Control F5. Wow. 7th March 1914. This is how to search in Google. Two other hints. If you want to find the documentation for console write line, maybe Google is the fastest way. Because the Microsoft search at MSDN, Microsoft.com doesn't work so well like Google. If you want to find how to generate random numbers in C#, one very good way is to using system and quotes, because this is the start of all C# programs. Which means I want to find a page in internet where I have a C# programming code and it contains random number. Let's check this. This is a good way to search in Google current date and using system. It's not the best way. Sorry, this doesn't work. That's why I give you several examples, but you can try many things. Browse to MSDN Microsoft Code. Com doesn't work. Current date. Wow! Aha! Current date in PHP. Great! Microsoft suggests me to use PHP instead of C#. So what we have learned today, we have learned that programming is the process of creating sequence of instructions or commands called source code to let or ask the computer to do something. This is something like sequence of steps. This is also known as algorithm, to describe an algorithm. The source code is a tool for describing algorithms. There are many other tools for describing algorithms. For example, I can write a text or write a diagram. C# is a modern, powerful, easy to learn language created by Microsoft, very popular, and you should be happy to start with C# because it's very easy. It's a good way to start. C# programs contains class plus main method plus some code in it. If you put only the code inside the body of your program, it will not compile. You need the class and public static void main with brackets. .NET Framework is the Microsoft platform for software development. It's addition to Windows, part of the most recent versions of Windows, which allows you to develop and run C# code and other code, not only C# in other languages. Visual Studio is IDE, is the Microsoft IDE, integrated development environment, which allows you to write code, to compile code, to execute code, to debug code, to make deployments, to make unit testings, to design user interface, and many other things, which we'll learn in our next courses. This is only the first steps, the C# basics, and the next steps are object-oriented programming. Later we have a course on databases, on web development, etc., etc., etc. MSDN library is the .NET documentation, and it's easier to access it through searching in Google or the easiest way is F1 if you have the code and want some additional info. So I finished. Now you can play with the exercises a bit. There's not too much time, but you can please play with Visual Studio. This is open source content, Creative Commons, attribution non-commercial license, and you are welcome to visit the Software University and learn about the other courses we provide, to join our Facebook group, to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and ask questions in our forum. Any questions? Okay, you can ask me personally after this lecture, and I will stop the video because it's finished. And now stop the camera.